now for our next news special report.
Tonight, we're slicing through the facade to expose a crisis at the heart of America's financial system. Imagine waking up to find your bank account frozen, your hard-earned money inaccessible. For thousands, this nightmare is their reality. We're witnessing an unprecedented wave of bank glitches and account shutdowns that's sending shockwaves throughout our republic. It's not just a series of isolated incidents, it's a pattern, one that's putting your financial security on the line. And this special report will uncover the truth behind these disruptions and what they signal about the health of our banks. We're peeling back the layers of the story, and trust me, you don't want to miss our final thought. It's a game changer. Stay with us as we delve into a crisis that's been hidden in plain sight. Now, it seems every day brings a new story of financial frustration. Across the nation, citizens are grappling with a troubling phenomenon. Bank accounts are freezing, and no one's providing clear answers. So let's start off with the basics. Just last Friday, a significant error at a payment processing network caused a series of deposit delays. This is according to CNN. This isn't trivial. The clearinghouse hiccup meant that paychecks and bills hung in limbo, leaving Americans stranded at grocery stores and ATMs. With over 60% of the population living paycheck to paycheck, the impact was immediate and severe. But the plot thickens. PNC Bank's tweet on Sunday was a cold comfort to those affected, stating an industry-wide delay with federal ACH transactions as the culprit, yet this isn't a one-off event. We've seen a concerning trend of banking errors this year. So what is causing these glitches? Is it a sinister sign of cyber vulnerabilities, or is it something else? And now let's pivot to an enlightening discussion that cuts right through the noise. We're about to take a look at an exchange that lays bare the real impact of these so-called banking glitches that are more than mere technical hiccups. They're harbingers of deeper issues within our financial institutions. Dean Heskin, watching financial news with an eagle's eye, notes the lack of coverage on these critical banking errors that affects everyday Americans far more than corporate earnings reports. And Chris Agastelios jumps in with a pointed observation on the term glitch, a word that's become all too familiar in our own lexicon, and not in a good way. Together, they shed light on the staggering number of complaints and the unsettling reality for customers, thousands of them left in the lurch. They also touch upon a notable move by a banking giant CEO that could signal a storm on the horizon. Folks, this is a conversation that underscores why we should all be paying attention. Now take a look at what's really happening behind the bank doors and the scenes of our financial system. Watch.
Today, I'm watching some form of financial news, literally throughout the entirety of the day. And as these things are happening, most of the time, you won't even see a blurb about it on most of the news networks. And to me, banks freezing or glitching people's accounts across the country is far more relevant than how much money Apple made last quarter. There, I'm done with my rant, Chris. Tell us more about this. What happened, Chase?
So first of all, I love the way they use the word glitch, right? My kids use that word all the time when they want a new iPhone. Sure. And I know they're full of it, right? It's not really glitchy, Dad. It's glitchy. I need a new phone. But I don't expect that from my bank, right? And especially Chase, who's, supposed to be one of the premier banks out there. So it's certainly concerning. And it is amazing to me how little you will see about this on the mainstream news networks. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of speculation to figure out that obviously, a lot of the networks and the financial system are closely, tied together. But over 7,000 complaints just in this instance so far. People transferring money into their Chase accounts and the funds aren't showing up. So, for the average person out there, imagine that you're transferring money from, people were saying their PayPal accounts or their Venmo accounts into their Chase account so they can spend the money, pay bills, and the money's just not showing up, right? So you're not sure where it is in cyberspace. And I think until that happens to somebody personally, even if they hear these stories, they think, oh, well, it's not that common. But again, we're hearing these things virtually every day. And, of course, Chase says, it should be fixed tomorrow. Well, thank you. Hopefully that's true. But, you got to keep in mind too, this is Chase now, who had 19 states in the country so far accused them of persistently discriminating and closing people's accounts. They had 16,000 ATMs in September that stopped working. And now I hear this morning that Jamie Dimon, the CEO, has pulled $140 million of his own shares out of the company. So, you know, now that represents about 12% of his stake in the company. But what's significant is that it's the first time he has ever sold shares to this magnitude. So, wow. You know, does that signal what's to come? I mean, I think it's definitely something we need to pay attention to.
No questions there. Now, the issues don't stop at delays. Banks are shuttering thousands of accounts suddenly without prior notice. The letters arrive void of explanation, informing customers that their financial lifelines have been cut. Imagine the panic of finding your cards decline, your savings locked away. It's not just an inconvenience, it's a breach of trust, a blow to the financial stability of everyday Americans. This phenomenon, known by the banks as de-risking, seems like a sanitized term for abandoning the customer. Banks, it appears, are playing a dangerous game with people's livelihoods. And the question that burns in the minds of many, could I be next? Meanwhile, the FDIC had to step in for Citizens Bank in Iowa, the 6th bank failure this year. Their press release assured continued access to funds, but the underlying message is clear. Our banking institutions are on precarious footing. And Charles Schwab's layoff signal that even brokerage firms aren't immune to this financial contagion. The Wall Street Journal reports cuts across the company as a harbinger of broader economic woes. Let's not overlook the 384,000 drop in employed Americans last month, as reported by Zero Hedge. It's a stark reminder that economic stability is more myth than reality these days. So what is the takeaway from this cascade of banking blunders? First, it's a call to action for every American to assess their financial security. It's a warning that the systems we trust, the institutions we rely on, are far more fragile than we've been led to believe. We're at a crossroads, and it's time to ask the hard questions about the robustness of our financial infrastructure. Remember, if you got value from this report, tap subscribe and join us as we navigate these turbulent waters together. And the signs are clear. We're not just dealing with technical glitches. There's a pattern of systemic issues that suggest a deeper melee within the financial sector. The symptoms are there: the mysterious delays, the account closures without explanation, the sudden rise in bank failures. So let's consider the scale of these disruptions. The clearinghouse's glitch affected not just one bank, but many, disrupting the flow of money that fuels our daily lives. Paychecks, bill payments, the very veins of commerce clogged. And when PNC Bank took to Twitter with their statement, it wasn't just a PR move, it was a distress signal. A public admission that things were far from business as usual. And the term de-risking, well, it's a euphemism for a process that's anything but benign. It's a calculated abandonment, leaving customers adrift with no choice. The bank's cold, scripted responses only add insult to injury. It's a stark reminder that to them, we're just numbers, not people. With each closed account and declined card, the trust between the American people and their banks erodes. The confidence that's the cornerstone of our financial system is cracking. And when that trust goes, what's left? The fall of Citizens Bank in Iowa is not just a local headline, it's a national alarm bell. With $66 million in assets and $59 million in deposits, its collapse might seem small in the grand scheme, but it's part of a worrying trend. The FDIC's involvement is reassuring, but it's also a testament to the fragility of our banking institutions. And the troubles at Charles Schwab, they're another piece of this unsettling puzzle. As the largest publicly traded U.S. brokerage, its layoffs are not just a company resizing, but a symptom of a market in distress. These layoffs, the bank failures, the glitches, they're all interconnected threads of an unraveling tapestry. As the employment numbers fall, the fabric of our economy weakens. Now, this isn't about fear-mongering. It's about facing reality. Our banking system, the bedrock of our republic, is showing signs of strain. These aren't the doomsday prophecies of internet pundits. These are facts unfolding in real time, affecting real people. As we look ahead, it's crucial to stay informed and to stay vigilant. These banking issues aren't just individual inconveniences. They're warning signs of a possible systemic collapse. It's a reminder that in our interconnected world, a glitch isn't just a glitch. It's a potential trigger for a wider financial crisis. So we have to ask ourselves, what can we do to safeguard our assets? How can we ensure that we're not the next to receive that dreaded letter from our bank? And more importantly, how can we as a nation fortify our financial infrastructure against these recurring threats? Now more than ever, it's essential to diversify, to not put all of our eggs in one banking basket. It's time to consider alternative financial solutions, to educate ourselves on the risks, and to take proactive steps to protect our financial future. The story of our banking system's failings is a narrative with far-reaching implications. It's not just a matter of personal finance, it's about the integrity and stability of our republic. This is a story that matters to every single American, and it's one we must all pay very close attention to. Now, the story isn't just about banks and numbers, it's about the American dream being put at risk. These bank glitches, closures, and failures are more than inconvenient. They threaten the very fabric of our republic. They chip away at our confidence in the system, our belief that the money we work so hard to earn will be there when we need it. This crisis is a wake-up call, a reminder that our financial system is not invulnerable. It's a call to action for all of us to become more financially savvy, resilient, and prepared. As we peel back the layers of these banking woes, we find at the core a question of trust. Trust in our banks, trust in our economy, and trust in the promise of America. It's a story that affects us all, and it's one that we cannot afford to ignore. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Now keep up your quest for truth with this next news report. And if you found our channel enlightening, join the millions who agree with you. Tap subscribe. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.